Uh, good evening, farmers. I hope you are all good, and I hope you are all relaxed and ready for the session. I welcome you all, guys. I don't know whether we can start now or else we're gonna wait for a little bit and wait for for other farmers to join in, so that we can move together as a group. But yeah, I can say that there are farmers already who are already here. Uh, I would like to welcome you all farmers in this session of this evening. Let me introduce myself. My name is Gwinikaya. My name is Gwinikaya Kantiwe. I'm working for I'm Gwinikaya Kantiwe, the livestock technical advisor at the Red Meat Industrial Services. Yes, this evening, I'll be giving to you this presentation whereby we'll be talking about the breeding season. This evening will be solely focused on the breeding season of the small stock. Yeah, it will be mainly based on the small stock. But I think even if we are not a small stock farmer, one day you'll become one. You'll become a small stock farmer, and this information that we're going to share here today is going to benefit you a lot. Yeah, so as I have mentioned, let's start by lining out or introducing the class rules. The class rules will be like we will have to mute our mics so that we do not disturb the progress of the session. We will also have to close our cameras, and then after the session, when the session is done, you guys will start asking me questions. That's when that's why I'll make time for you guys to be able to ask questions whereby you did not get a clarity, like whereby you did not get it, or maybe you've got some questions that you want to know regarding some parts of the presentation, and then I'll share with you guys. Like I'll give you the platform. I'll give you the platform to ask the questions, and then we move together. So yeah, as I was saying, today we're going to talk about the breeding season. The breeding season is a very important practice in livestock farming. Every livestock farmer has to make sure that he gets right the breeding season, because now the breeding season it's very important. It is where it is where you're planting. I liken the breeding season to the planting season of a crop farmer. So you have to make sure, you really have to make sure that you get it right, because once you fumble in breeding season, then you're having a problem. There won't be offsprings. Then if there are no offsprings, it means that the flock is not growing. Your flock is not gonna grow because now your animals maybe did not conceive during the breeding season because of certain factors. Maybe your animals were not in good condition, and then they did not conceive, and then come lambing season, your animals are not lambing, which is going to cost you a lot, because now you will be running your business at a loss, and now we don't want to run a business at a loss. Remember, we have to treat farming as a business. That's one thing for sure. We must not treat farming as a hobby or something, but we must treat farming as a business. So today we'll be talking about the breeding season, which you really have to get it correct. Yeah, let's move to the first slide. My first slide here is breeding season. Breeding season is a defined period during which animals are able to mate and conceive. It's a defined period during which animals are able to mate and conceive. You must note that conceive, during which animals are able to mate and conceive. They can mate, and they can mate, and then the end result will be like that. The you did not conceive, and then that's a problem. managed by farmer to optimize mating that will lead to a concentrated lambing or a kidding season. You see, so this breeding season, you have to control it in such a way that when your animals lamb, they all lamb at the same time. You get a concentrated lambing season that will be able to plan for maybe buy in feed, buy in medication, buy in dewormers and everything, like you plan for it. You don't want to have a situation whereby you've got animals that are lambing throughout the year. That one is not gonna work. You then there you will be running a business at a loss, because now you've got animals that are not lambing. So you have to make sure that you've got a breeding season, and then all your animals are in good condition, and then all your animals are going to be mated, and they will conceive. The conception is the most important part of it. They have to all conceive, so that they can all give birth during the lambing season, 5 months later or 150 days later. So here they say that this comes naturally when the felt is green and very nutritious, or the animals are in good condition. Yes, the breeding season, it might happen that like when the felt is in good condition, when the felt is green and very nutritious, and the animals are in good condition, the rams are in good condition, the ewes are in good condition. Naturally, so they're going to mate. They're going to mate and conceive. And one thing is that a ewe or a doe. Here, guys, we're talking about small stock. I'll be mentioning more of the ewes. There's ewes and there's does. The ewes, it's a female sheep, and then a doe, it's a female goat. So if the felt is in good condition, all the ewes will come on heat. The ewes are gonna come on heat, because now they will be having, like, they will be grazing a very nutritious grass that will make them become in good condition, and then get on heat, and the rams will want to mount them. But now the problem starts here. You have to make sure that you have got a breeding season. You have to plan. You have to do the planning. You have to do the planning that you don't just let them mate in any time of the year, because now it will mean that they will lamb at the wrong time. So you will have to make sure that your animals, you control the breeding so that they lamb at the correct time. And then the second slide says that why is breeding season important? The breeding season is important in such a way that when you're farming with your animals, your production stock or your doelings, you're going to get a higher conception rate. You're going to get a higher conception rate because of the fact that you have managed your breeding season. You have got a breeding season that you have timed, which is going to be at a certain time of the year, whereby the ewes, the felt is in good condition to supplement the ewes, and you will also do the supplementary feedings on your animals to make sure that they are in good condition. And when your animal is in good condition, it means that there will be high conception rate on them. They will surely conceive, because now they are in good condition. When your animals are in good condition, it means you increasing the chances of them conceiving. Point number 2 says that they will lamb or kid at the right time of the year. As I said earlier, that when you've got a lambing season, and this lambing season you have structured it or you have planned for it in such a way that when your animals lamb, they lamb at the correct time of the year, whereby the temperatures are not too low for the lambs to die, and also the felt is in good condition for the ewes to graze on them. Because now, remember, when a ewe gives birth to a lamb or a kid, the nutritional requirements of that particular ewe will go there will be more nutritional requirements, because now the ewe has to produce a milk for the lamb of the kid. The ewe has to maintain its body condition. Maybe your wool sheep also has the wool has to grow as well. So the nutritional requirements are higher, you see. So you must make sure that when you structure your lambing season, or when you plan for it, you must make sure that your animals are going to lamb at a correct time of the year, whereby there is enough grazing for the mothers, and there is enough grazing as well for the lambs and the kids when they start to eat, when the rumen has developed and they now start to eat. They must have the grass as well, so that they can grow faster, get ensure milk from the mother, and then get the enough grass on the veld that will be available for them. Would ensure ewes in good condition and are able to conceive. We have already mentioned that one, resulting in a stronger and healthier offsprings. You see, so if you're gonna mate animals that are in good conditions, then that will mean that the offsprings, the kids and the lambs, are going to be in good condition as well, because now the mom has been good and has been very supportive to the kids, because what is being eaten by the mother is going to share that with the fetus in the stomach. So you have to make sure of the breeding season. Uniformity in production stages of your animals. When you have got a breeding season, you're going to have a uniformity in the production stages of your animals. All your animals, when they are dry, you've got all the ewes being dry, you've got all the ewes giving birth, you've got all the ewes at lactation stage whereby they will be having kids, you see. So now that will make your management very easy, not unless then you as a farmer, you've got a large a number of animals whereby you're going to divide them into two and have two lambing seasons. You see, then it's a different story. But if maybe you've got a small amount of animals, and with that small amount of animals, you only have one lambing season, then it will make things easier for you, because all your animals will be on one production stage. When they are dry, you know that all your animals are dry, and you can inject them with any vaccine, even if it's a live vaccine. You know that you're not going to be having any abortions. When they have all given birth, you treat them all the same. You see, it's going to be easy for you as a farmer to manage your animals. And the breeding season simplifies your management. As I have just said, above, the breeding season is going to simplify your management in such a way that all your animals are going to be in one production stage. So you won't be stressing that you don't have to inject the other group with the animals that don't have to receive a certain type of a medication because they are pregnant, or there are certain animals that do not deserve to receive a certain type of treatment because of their pregnancy. You see, you just treat them all equally, and then you move on with your farming practices. Proper planning prevents poor performance. So you have to make sure that you plan very well. The breeding season, I think the breeding season is the most important thing. If you plan your breeding season very well, then you will have more animals available at your farm, because it is going to increase the survival rate of the lambs as well. Because now, when the mothers are giving birth, at a correct season, when the veld is in good condition, it means that those animals are going to lamb healthy lambs, and then they will be having enough milk to feed the lambs, you see. And we all know that when a lamb is having enough milk from the mom, it becomes healthy and very strong. There are two breeding seasons that are most commercial farmers choose. There is an autumn breeding season and a spring breeding season. Some farmers prefer autumn breeding season that will lead to spring lambing from May to April. Which is also it's also good. I would also suggest that you guys choose between the two breeding seasons, not unless then, as I have said before, that you have got a large number of animals whereby you have to divide them into two. You see, and then when you divide those animals into two, then you're gonna have two lambing seasons. Yes, you're gonna have two lambing seasons. And two mating seasons. You're gonna have the autumn breeding season and the spring breeding season. The autumn breeding season, when you mate in autumn, you're going to have a spring lambing season or a kidding season whereby your goats or use a kid from May up until April. In that season, the grass is still in good condition, because the aim of having a breeding season is that you mate your animals when they are in good condition, and also when they give birth, when the lambing season comes, they give birth when the felt is in good condition as well, in such a way that it is going to be able to meet the nutritional requirements of the animals. You don't want a situation whereby you have animals giving birth in winter, let's say around July, August. You don't want your animals giving birth during that time, because now the felt is not in good condition. Excuse me, the felt is not in good condition, and also there's cold weather during that time. It's very cold for the young lambs or young kids to survive that kind of a weather. So the survival chances of the lambs is going to be very low. So you have to structure your or plan your breeding season in such a way that your animals give birth at the correct time of the year. So the autumn breeding season, you're going to lamb in spring, and also there are late summer rainfalls in spring. You can still plant your planted pastures. You can still plant your oats. You can still plant your lucerne. You can still plant your grasses, different types of grasses that are going to be palatable to your small stock. So it is a very, very, very good practice that you have to make sure that you put into consideration. And then you've got a spring breeding season. A spring breeding season that is going to be between September and October. That breeding season is going to lead to autumn lambing season. So if you breed your animals in spring, they're going to lamb in autumn. If you breed your animals in autumn, they're going to lamb in spring. In spring, there's early summer rainfall, and also the felt is okay. You can still plant your planted pastures. Maybe when they start lambing, they lamb in those planted pastures to make sure that they do not lose condition and they keep producing enough milk for the young ones. So yeah, there are two breeding seasons that you can choose from: the autumn breeding season or the spring breeding season. Then we've got selection for fertility. As a farmer, you have to do a selection for fertility. You have to do a selection to make sure that all your animals are fertile, and you also have to do the culling as well, which I believe that a lot of farmers, more especially the emerging farmers, do not want to do that practice. They don't want to do the culling practice, because now they are emotionally attached to their animals, and then they end up not wanting to cull the animals and remove them from their heads. So you have to do a selection fertility, so that to make sure that you have a flock that is very, very, very fertile. A flock that is going to give you a multiple birth. You don't want to be having animals that are giving you only one lamb or one kid. You have to make sure that you maybe try to have animals that will give birth to multiple birth. When you're doing this selection for fertility, firstly, you have to class the rams for breeding attributes and age. The age is very, very, very important, because now when, let's say, you're having your young ewes, you've got young ewes that will be mated for the first time, and then you've got older ewes. The young ewes that are going to be mated for the first time, you have to give them an experienced ram. You have to put them separately, and then you give them an experienced ram. You give them a ram that has got experience, so that it will be able to service them and make sure that they conceive. And then the younger rams, you can give them to the experienced ewes, because the experienced ewes now have got experience in this mating thing. They will, like, they are used to being mated, so it's not going to be a transmess for them. Then you take your young ewes, you give them the older rams, and then you take the small ewe, the older ewes, you give them smaller rams. And then the second point says that identify ewes which give birth to twins. Those are your most fertile ewes. So you have to identify them so that when you're preparing for a breeding season, or when they are closer to giving birth, you give them a meal that is specifically designed for them. Because now the nutritional requirements of a ewe that is carrying the twins and the nutritional requirements of a ewe that is carrying a single is not going to be the same. So you have to identify the ewes that give birth to twins, so that you when, like, you're going to separate them and then give them a food or a feed or a ration that is going to be able to meet the nutritional requirements of those particular ewes. And then you identify your twin lambs. You make sure that the twin lambs, when marking them, or when tagging them, you make a mark there that this one is a twin ewe. And then with those ones, you make sure that you don't sell them. You keep them at your farm, because now the twin ewes or the twin lambs they have got a potential of inheriting that trait of giving twins. If maybe you've got a twin ram or you've got a twin ewe, those ones are going to give you twins when they are old. There is high possibility of inheriting that trait. So you make sure that you keep them, you don't sell them, you keep them, so that you make sure that your animals multiply. And then they say that use twin rams, as I have just mentioned now, that when like you all your twin lambs, you're going to mark them, and then you make sure that you breed with them later. But then now, here on this case, if maybe there is a male lamb that has been born on your farm, and it's a twin, it's a twin, you cannot make it your own breeding ram, because now you will be doing inbreeding. But instead, you go outside, and when you're going to buy a ram, you try by all means to maybe get a twin ram, a ram that is a twin, because it's going to make twins for you on the farm, and then your animals are going to multiply faster. And then they say that class use for mothering characteristics. This one is very important as well. Very, 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 very important, and you must keep it in consideration. You must make sure that you class use for mothering characteristics. When they're talking about mothering characteristics, they're talking about a ewe that will lamb successfully without being helped, a ewe that will be able to nurse the young one and give it the love that it deserves, lick it off the placenta, and then make sure that it sucks. You see, make sure that it gets the milk, and the other development is good and fine. The young one is going to be able to grab the teats. So yeah, that's you that has got good mothering characteristics. Make sure that you class all the ewes that have got good mothering characteristics, and then you cull the ones that do not have mothering characteristics. The ewe that is going to lamb on the veld and then leave the lamb or the kid there, those ones you're going to cull them off, because now they are bad mothers, and there is a high possibility of passing through those genetics to the kids or the lambs. So you make sure that you cull all the bad mothers, and then you keep the good mothering, the ones that shows good mothering characteristics. And then they say that you cull unproductive stock. the animals that are not giving birth on the farm, the passengers that only contribute in eating the feed and costing you as a farmer, but not giving birth in a way of or not giving back in a way of giving birth to the lambs or to the kids. Those ones you have to cull them off, because now they are a liability. They're going to cost you a lot, because you're spending on them, you're spending medication on them, you're spending feed on them, but they're not reproducing. So it is very, very important that you cull them off, all the non-productive animals. You have to replace rams to avoid inbreeding. You're going to put in a new ram this year, and then you mate it to your use. Once the first daughters of this ram are ready for mating, you will have to change the ram, because now you don't want to have a situation whereby the ram is going to mate its daughters. That will be inbreeding. There won't be any improvement of your animals there. Your animals will remain the same. So you will have to make sure that you change the ram once the daughters are ready for mating. Not unless then now you are a successful farmer and you've got camps and you are good at record keeping. Then you can keep it up until you see that no, it's no longer productive or it's old, and then you cull it out. But if you don't, you are in a communal setup and you don't have camps, you cannot control the ram. Then you'll have to sell it, because now it will end up mating the daughters, and then you'll have inbreeding there, which we don't want. If possible, purchase performance tested rams from your farm's environment. So here, this one I always tell farmers, when you buy livestock, you must make sure that you buy livestock to your own area. Don't go to a very, very different area and buy a livestock, because now those animals that you'll be bringing to your farm from a different area, it's going to be difficult for them to adapt in that particular area of yours. So you must make sure that you buy animals from your own area that are performance tested, that you know the growth rate of this animal. You've got all the breeding values of that particular animal, and then you know that it's fertile, it's going to give you a healthy kids or healthy lambs. Then you are sure about it, and it's bought from your own environment, and it won't be difficult for you to adapt in that particular environment where you are situated. So it is very important when you're buying livestock, you make sure that you buy it at your own area. You don't drive miles and miles away to buy in livestock, because now you will have a problem in adapting them. And once it's difficult for them to adapt, they won't be productive, and then you will be having a problem there. There are factors that influence fertility. The first factor is going to be the genetics, the genes. Inferior genetics are going to be non-fertile. They are not going to be fertile. So you must make sure that when you buy in animals, or when you are breeding with your animals, you buy in animals of top-class genetics. When you're farming in general, you have to farm with animals of top-class genetics that are very, very fertile. Because now, if the genetics are poor, even if you can feed that animal, you can feed it as much as you want, but then you're not going to improve the genes there. You're not going to improve those genetics. Once the genetics are bad, then the genetics are bad. And then the following one is the animal health, the health of the animal. If the animal is not healthy during the breeding season, then that animal won't be fertile enough. It won't conceive, because now you don't want to have a situation whereby you're having during a breeding season, you're having an animal that have got a high infestation of internal parasites, or maybe this you're having a ram that is suffering from Pasteurella, lung diseases, lung infections, and everything. So you have to make sure that you vaccinate your animals and all your animals are healthy, and then you're gonna have a successful breeding season. And then stress during mating season. During mating season, you make sure that you don't want to stress your animals. You want to make sure that you keep your animals as cool as possible, because now once they are stressed, they won't be able to be on heat. They won't be able to mate. So you don't want dogs chasing them around. You don't want a situation whereby you want to handle them now during mating season. You are late. You want to handle them and maybe give them a medication, or you want to drench them. You don't want that situation. During mating, the mating season must be peaceful and stress-free. And then the nutrition. The nutrition part comes along, whereby you'll have to make sure that your animals are in good condition. Because now, if your animals are not in good condition, they have got some deficiencies of certain minerals, then those animals are not going to conceive as well. It's not going to be possible for them. It's going to be a loss for you. And then management. Management takes us back to the planning. You have to have a management plan, whereby you know that I'm going to lamb my animals in spring. You don't want a situation whereby you'll be having animals giving birth the whole year. You see, having animals giving birth the whole year, and now they are in bad condition, because now they gave birth in winter, when the field was not in good condition, the grass was dry, or even the grass was not even there, and then you couldn't supplement yourself, and then it lost condition drastically, and now it's so difficult for you to pick up the weight lost, and then the fertility is not gonna be there. That animal won't be fertile because of poor management. Let's move to the next slide. Health control. Now we're going to talk about the health control of your animals. We're going to firstly talk about the RAMs. The test RAMs for genital diseases. When you're saying test RAMs for genital diseases, we mean that you test your RAM. You inspect the penis of the RAMs. You inspect the testicles of the ram. You hold them, and then you try to squeeze them, but not squeeze too much. You try to feel if there are no lumps on the testicles. You checking if the testicles are healthy. You're checking if the penis is okay. It doesn't have any infection, and then you know that then you do your checklist, and then if they are perfect, then you can take the ram to the use. But then if they are diseases, genital diseases, then you won't be able to take that ram to the use, because now you'll be having that ram won't be able to service the use because of those health issues that it will be having on the genital parts. Dose rams for internal parasites. You have to dose your rams for internal parasites. Make sure that your rams are clean inside. They do not have any parasites, more especially the nasal parasite, which is called the nasal worm, which is going to cause a nasal discharge, whereby you're having a mucus blocking the nose of the ram, and the nose of the ram are very important during the breeding season, because now a ram is going to detect the use that is on it by smelling it. Now, if the ram is having too much discharge on the nostrils, it won't be able to smell the use and see which one is on heat, which one needs to be serviced. Then there you'll be having a problem. And then they say that inoculate against pasteurellosis. Inoculate you use against Pasteurella. Pasteurella is a lung disease that you have to make sure that your ewes are vaccinated against it, because now they will be running around the ewes at the field and breathing heavily. So you want a healthy animal that doesn't have any lung diseases. Because now if it has lung disease, it will have a problem in running around the ewes, trying to mate them, because now it cannot breathe successfully. And then inoculate against pulpy kidney, which is very, very important as well. You have to make sure that you inoculate your rams against pulpy kidney and all your rams are healthy. And then you inoculate against enzootic abortion. That one is very, very important. It's more especially in goats. You make sure that every year you inoculate against enzootic abortion, because now you don't want a situation whereby come lambing season, now all the kids are dying because of enzootic abortion. Because once the youths have got enzootic abortion, they abort the kids. It's either they abort them or else they give birth to them, and then the kids are going to survive maybe for 2 days, and then day 3 the kid is dead, and then you don't know what to do. That's enzootic abortion. So you have to make sure that you inoculate your ewes before, when they are dry, when they are not pregnant, after they have all given birth, you inoculate them against enzootic abortion so that they can all give birth to healthy and strong lambs. And then you inoculate against blue tongue in areas whereby people get affected by blue tongue. This one you have to make sure that you vaccinate for it, because now this one is very deadly, very, very, very deadly, and it's even very difficult to treat it. And then again, we inoculate against the blue adder. We don't want a situation whereby a ewe is going to give birth, and then when the lamb is about to suckle the milk out of the mother, and then the mother is jumpy because of a painful adder. You don't want that one to happen. You make sure that you inoculate against the blue adder. This one goes hand in hand with Pasteurella. Those they use 6 weeks before mating. You make sure that they use also they are clean inside. They do not have any internal parasite or any nasal worm that will give them problems after giving birth, because now the ewe identify the lamb or the kid by sniffing at the back, that this is my kid, and then it's going to sniff at it, and then that's how it identifies them. So now if they've got a high infestation of internal parasites, and also it's a situation whereby there is high nasal worms, and it cannot smell the kids, then that particular ewe is going to neglect the kid, and then you're going to say that this is a bad mother, even though you are the one who did not treat the animal. Ram preparation. Now we're going to talk about the preparation of the ram. You prepare the rams 4 to 6 weeks before mating. Exercise the rams, keep them fit. Like in a situation whereby you have separated the rams, you kept them alone, and then you in that particular camp of theirs, and then you're feeding them there. So in that particular camp, you have to make sure that every day, 4 to 6 weeks before mating, you exercise the rams. You want them fit. You don't want them fat and lazy. You want them fit, so that when they get into the felt, into those ewes, they do the job successfully. And then you flash feed. You have to flash feed 4 to 6 weeks before mating. When flash feeding, you're making sure that you're giving them a ration that is going to pick them up and make them to be in good condition for the semen quality, and that they must be strong and be able to chase after those ewes. For spring mating, rams should be shown for spring mating. Make sure that when the breeding season starts, the rams are already shown. They do not have a wool on them, because it's going to be hot and they will be running around the ewes. So you don't want that situation whereby now the rams become lazy because of the heat. And then trim the hooves of the rams. If maybe they have got their hooves grown, you will have to trim the hooves and make sure that because now once the hoof is overgrown, they tend to limp. So if they are limping, it means that they are not genetically, I mean, they are not physically ready to go after the rams. So you have to make sure that you cut the hooves, you trim the hooves nicely, so that they can be able to move and go after the ewes. With the ones that have got horns, you have to trim the horns as well, because they tend to fight during mating season, more especially if you've got only 2 rams. Then they will fight. Now make sure that you trim the horns at the not like you trim the horns there at the end of the horn where there is no blood. You cut it there and make sure that the horns are trimmed nicely. Test the rams for genital soundness. That's what I was explaining earlier, that you check the testicles that are okay, you check the penis that it's in a correct state, it doesn't have an infection, it doesn't have any injuries, the testicles are smooth, they are of the same size, there are no lumps in the testicles, and then you can let it go to the use if everything is correct. But the one thing for sure that you'll have to do is to make sure that you test for genital soundness. You make sure that the ewe is healthy and sound. Nutrition for optimal fertility. There's flash feeding. Flash feeding is very important on the ewes and on the rams. You flash feed your animals to make sure that they are in good condition. During this flash feeding, before you do this flash feeding, let's start there. Before you do the flash feeding, you're going to inspect your animals, you're going to inspect your ewes, and then you're going to inspect your rams. And then you see there are those ones that have drastically lost conditions, that are the ones that are out of shape, and then you put them alone, because now you put them alone and then you feed them, you give this flash feeding to them alone, because now you don't want a situation whereby these animals will be competing on a feeding trough, because that's what they do. They're going to compete on a feeding trough, and the strong animals are going to bully the weaker animals, or the younger ones. Are going to bully the weaker animals or the younger ones, and then you end up with a situation whereby some of the ewes are not in good condition. So you have to class them according to age, you separate them according to age, and then those ones that are not in good condition, you separate them as well, and then you give them a ration that is going to be perfect for them, that is going to quickly pick them up. Yes, so nutrition for optimal fertility, we start with energy for maintaining body condition and supporting a reproductive process. So you must make sure that your ration has got energy, because energy is very important for the ewes and for the rams to pick them up and make sure that they are in good condition. And then you must make sure again that your ration that or your feed that you'll be giving to the ewes or the rams for flash feeding, you make sure that it has got protein. Protein is good for the formation of sperm in rams. It will make sure that the rams have got good quality semen, a healthy one that is going to fertilize the egg. And then you've got you make sure that if needs be, you supplement the minerals such as copper, manganese, zinc, and selenium that are vital for reproductive functions. And then you've got vitamins. Vitamins, fat-soluble vitamin like vitamin A, D, and E are very important. Vitamin E crucial for the reproductive health, and make sure that to supplement if the grass is not in good condition, or the felt is not in good condition. Make sure that to supplement vitamin E, and then you make sure that the water is available. And the water that is available them, it's clean, it's fresh, and it's very cold, because now if you've got hot water, the water intake is not going to be so high. And if the water is dirty, the intake as well is not going to be so high, because now the water is hot or is dirty. As a farmer, you must be willing to drink on that drinking trough, because now if you as a farmer, you are not willing to drink on that particular drinking trough, then it means that you have got a problem. The animals as well are not going to drink that particular water if it's dirty. So you make sure that the water is clean, so that there will be high water intake as well, which is going to be good for health of the animal and for reproductive success as well. Ewe preparation. Prepare ewes 4 to 6 weeks before mating. Class ewes according to age. The ewes as well, you have to class them according to age. You have to class them according to age. You make sure that the older ewes are working together and the young ewes are working together. And then the young ewes are going to give them a older ram, and the older ewes are going to give them the young rams. And then you flash feed the ewes. What we have already talked about, to make sure that you flash feed the ewes. The ewes are in good condition, because now if they are not in good condition, they won't conceive, and you don't want a situation whereby you having animals that are not lambing during the lambing season, and then you end up culling them out, even though you the one who did not do what you were supposed to do. And then you crush the ewes. If it's a wool breed, and you're going to mate them in spring, and you have to crush them, or you have to just shear them, because now we're going through a very hot season. You just have you crush them. You when crushing, you shear the wool around the vagina, around the anus and around the vagina. You shear them there, or else you just shear the whole animal, because now we'll be going into a very hot season. So you don't want restless animals during the breeding season. And then you supplement minerals if necessary. If you see that your animals are a bit lacking there and there, and then you're going to supplement the minerals. Synchronization of the ewes and the does. This is very important as well, because now in order for you to have a successful breeding season, you have to make sure that you synchronize the ewes. I always prefer the natural way of doing things in animals. I don't want us to inject insect sponges and seeders and everything. I always prefer to do it natural, in a way of introducing teaser rams. Teaser rams are rams that have been vasectomized. That vasectomy have been done on them, and now these rams are not fertile. It's infertile ram. But now, if you put in a ram with the ewes, those ewes automatically become on heat, because now they can smell a ram. And then you put it there with the ewes, like you use teaser ram to bring the ewes and does into heat. You put that ram in there so that the ewes can be on heat, more especially the young ewes. Large percentage of ewes and those are going to be on heat if you put in a teaser ram in there before you introduce your actual fertile rams. So the large percentage of those ewes are going to be on heat. Concentrated concentrated lambing in a short period of time, meaning that your ewes, if you synchronize them, they're going to be served by your rams quickly in a short period of time. And when they are lambing, they're also going to lamb all of them at the same time. Maybe in 1 week, or in 2 weeks, or in 3 weeks, they will be done lambing, and then you've got a uniformity in the age of the lambs that you'll be having at the farm. And then stimulate maiden ewes or the doelings. You stimulate them by introducing the teaser rams. You'll be putting them separately, and then you put in a teaser ram there. Then the teaser ram is going to be able to bring them on heat. Introduce teaser rams 9 to 11 days before the breeding season starts. Yes, that's the importance of the teaser rams. You put in teaser rams in there, and then they synchronize the ewes. They bring them on heat, and then you remove the teaser rams, and then you put in your fertile rams, and then they do the job for you, and then it's going to be a success. Estrus cycle of the ewes and the does. Now we're going to talk about the estrus cycle. This is the period where the ewes stands for the ram to mate. This is the estrus cycle. It's a part of an oestrus cycle. There's an oestrus cycle that is divided into 4. But now I have concentrated more on the estrus cycle, whereby the ewe will be on the standing heat, ready to be mounted by the ram. The ewes will come on heat every 17 days. Remember, in a breeding season, or naturally so, the ewe, if it's not, if it did not conceive, is going to come on heat again after 17 days. So every 17 days, 14 to 17 days, the ewe will come on heat and want to be mounted by the ram. So during the breeding season, the ewe will if maybe the ram mounted that particular ram and the ram did not conceive, then the ewe is going to be on heat again after 17 days in order for it to be serviced by the ram. The estrus cycle will last for approximately 24 to 36 hours. The ovulation occurs about 24 to 30 hours after the start of the oestrus. After the start of the oestrus, the ovulation will occur like 24. The ovulation occurs about 24 to 30 hours after the start of the actual oestrus cycle, the one that I said is divided into 4. But then I have chosen this one, the estrus cycle part, whereby the ewe is it's on standing heat. That's where the action takes place and the ewe get to conceive. Mating management. Mate ewes in small camps. Make sure that you mate the ewes in small camps. You don't want to be mating the ewes in bigger camps whereby they will have to work longer distance. The rams will have to walk longer distances, following the rams, and the ewes as well walking longer distances. And then they end up wasting a lot of energy and maybe losing weight. Do not stress animals during mating. Make sure that you do not stress animals. Like when you're collecting them, there are not dogs there. You don't go in there running after them, maybe wanting to give them medicine and everything. You make sure that you don't stress them. Mate young ewes separately with experienced ram. Use teaser ram to stimulate the ewes 9 to 11 days before the breeding season starts. Limit the size of the flock. Pregnancy diagnosis carried out after 60 days. You want to do this one. You have to make sure that you do the pregnancy diagnosis so that 4 to 6 weeks before they lamb, you give them, you know which ones are carrying singles, you know which ones are carrying twins, and then you know when to give them the correct ration, which ones, because now their nutritional requirements is not going to be the same. The nutritional requirements of a ewe carrying a single and the nutritional requirement of a ewe carrying twins is not going to be the same. So you want to make sure that you give them a feed that has correct nutritional requirements for those animals. So pregnancy diagnosis carried out after 60 days. Very, very, very important. Yeah, that's the end of my slides. I'm done doing the presentations. What I can conclude to you guys, in my conclusion, I would say that make sure that you have got a breeding season. Make sure that you control breeding season. You don't have animals that are going to give birth during a drought or during cold weather conditions whereby you're going to lose the lambs. Make sure that you structure your breeding season in a way that your animals are going to lamb or kid in a very nutritional nutritious felt that is going to be able to give the animals the optimal nutrients that they require. Now I'm going to open up for questions, guys. If there's anyone who has a question, now it's your chance to answer question. Then I'll try to answer all your questions. The first question on the chat box is that, say, after the presentation, is it possible to email the slide presentation to me? Yes, sir. Everybody that has got that registered will receive the presentation. That is Bonginkosi Moni. And then there's Mandla. Mandla is on a basic Autoplane with 30 minutes meeting. Okay, that's not the question. Yes, that's not the question too. I think I'm done with the chat box. There was only one question there on the chat box. Yes. And then now I'm going to open the questions here and listen. Enoch, I see a hand there.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you can ask them.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to check, and I'm sorry, you see, where I am, the network was kicking us sometimes out as we were driving, but now we are stable. But you might find that we missed some of the things you said. So pardon us if we asked something that we covered. On the issue,
no problem.
Yeah, on the issue of planning the mating and maybe wanting to maximize on your lambing or kidding. Is there a way to increase the chances of multiple births?
Yes, there is a way of increasing the multiple birth. You can increase the multiple birth by making sure that you do a selection for fertility. When doing a selection for fertility, you make sure that you select the lambs that have the twin lambs. You mark them and you make sure that you're going to mate with them in future, because there is a high possibility that they're going to inherit the trait of being of giving birth to lambs. And also you also use a twin ram. When you're doing the mating, you make sure that you make use of a twin ram. And again, what is very important is that before the breeding season starts, 4 to 6 weeks before the breeding season starts, you make sure that you flash feed your animals. You give your animals a very rich ration that is going to pick them up in terms of condition, because now if they ovulate, when they ovulate during mating, there are high possibilities of super ovulation, whereby they're going to ovulate more than one egg, maybe have 2 eggs or 3 eggs ovulated. As long as they are in good condition, then there's high chances of them ovulating more than 1 egg. But then that also goes along with proper genetics. When you are farming, you have to make sure that you're farming with proper genetics. You're farming with animals that have got the capacity to carry lambs, because sometimes you find that you are farming with small animals. You've got your ewes are very small in such a way that they do not have the capacity to carry twins or triplets. Or maybe when they do, they're going to give birth to very, very, very small kids or small lambs. Yeah.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Enoch, are you satisfied?
Very much. Yeah,
Okay.
very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for your question, sir. Bonga, I'm moving on to you, sir.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you very well, Bonga.
So my question, I actually have 2 questions, right? It's with regards to RAM specifically. Am I still audible?
Yes, Bonga, I can hear you, but your line seems to be not perfect. But yeah, you can speak. You can speak. I'll try to listen.
Yeah, the network is not that good because I think we just started getting rain now. But okay, I'll try and be. So I wanted to find out, right? When you share your RAM, how long before you start mating should you share them? Because I'm aware that when you do that with ewes, period before you can start mating.
So, Bonga, your question is that can you share the rams before mating, and how long can you share them before the start of mating?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the last 2S, if I'm not mistaken, right? Oh, yes, those 17 days.
I missed you there, Bonga. I missed you.
Just in the chat box, but the network is it's a bit off now.
Okay, brother, please write it down. I'm gonna ask this one of sharing. I'm gonna answer it. Bonga, your question is that can Bonga's question is that can he share his RAM before mating, and if he can, when can he start doing like sharing them? The answer is yes. You can share your RAMs before mating, and it's going to be perfect that you share them 4 to 6 weeks before the start of the mating season. I think that will be great, because now you don't want to share them shortly before mating season, because they will have to adapt first that they do not have wool, and maybe I think it's perfect that you share them 4 to 6 weeks before the breeding season starts. Your second question, Bonga, I'm gonna check it on the chat box. Thank you very much. I'm now moving on to Linda. Linda? Hello, Linda.
Hello.
Linda, we can't hear you. Hello?
God.
Linda? I think we'll have to pass Linda. Linda?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yes, we can hear you now, Linda.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I was struggling to unmute.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Klanti. My question, I have a beef background, so I'm with cattle, and I'm busy trying to prepare myself because I want to start a sheep project. Now, I keep coming across this term, teaser ram.
Yes.
And I just need you to unpack it a bit for me. Uguti, is it just a castrated ram, or what qualifies a ram to be a teaser ram?
Okay, ma'am. A teaser ram is a ram that has been vasectomized, meaning that the sperm the semen cannot go through all the way to the penis. So only the air comes out of the. That's what my lecturer used to say. So a teaser ram it's vasectomized, meaning that it's infertile. It does have the testicles, because now they have to be there. And a teaser ram must be one of those breeds that have got a very, very, very high sex drive, a very high libido. So a teaser ram is a ram that has been vasectomized and it's infertile. You just put it there with the ewes to make sure that you synchronize your ewes. You bring them all into heat. Because now when the ewes are smelling the ram, they become on heat.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
You are welcome, ma'am.
Oh, that's why you get the same teaser ram. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Now we're moving through to Awonke. Awonke?
Okay, Mr. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, I think my question was on Linda. You already answered my question, sir.
Okay.
I was about to ask about these teaser rams.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we're going to move to, who's the next one? Hello?
I hope my mic is off.
It's not off, ma'am. Can you please switch it off?
Oh, Lord.
Tembela, yes, sir.
Okay, Tembela, how are you?
I'm doing good, and you?
I'm good, thanks.
Thanks for the opportunity, Chair, first of all. And also thanks for the fruitful presentation. And like everybody else, I think we all have problems with the network. It's raining where we are.
Okay, Tembela, no problem.
Quickly to my question.
Yes.
You see, well, many people, especially in my area here, I'm in the area of Queenstown and Dordrecht mainly.
Yes.
Yes, the farmers here have a big issue with disease management, especially during the mating season. What would you advise is the best time to vaccinate, give medicine to mating animals before, during, and after gestation? Thank you.
Tembela, with as I have said it when I was starting the presentation, that when you're having a breeding season, it's going to be easy for you to manage your animals, because now they will be in one production stage, all of them. You know that even if you divide them into two groups, but you know that that certain group is pregnant and this other group is not pregnant. So you will be having a health plan designed by your local state vet or your local animal health technician, who will help you with your health plan. And you also, as a farmer, you are familiar with the diseases that occur in your area. So you will make sure that you vaccinate, more especially when the season changes. Let's say maybe when the animals are dry, you will know that you're going to vaccinate for all the diseases that you vaccinate with a live vaccine, because now a live vaccine is a vaccine that you cannot inject on pregnant animals, because those animals are going to abort. For instance, your exotic abortions, your blue tongue, which is a nightmare to one of the farmers, one of our to all of our farmers who are in that area. So a blue tongue vaccine is a live vaccine that will have to inject when the animals are dry. So before the mating season, you just have to make sure that you have covered all the diseases, you have vaccinated, and you have covered all the diseases. So now, so that when we get into the mating season, all your animals are healthy, and there are no outbreaks of diseases during the mating season. I think I answered you, Tembela. I don't know whether you are satisfied or not, but farmers have to make sure that they have got a management plan, and on that management plan of theirs, they have got a breeding season whereby they will have to make sure that their animals are all in one production stage, so that they will be able to give them all the vaccines that are necessary. Tembela, are you still there?
Yes, I'm there. I'm covered. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Tembela. Now we're going to move to the next question. Who is this one? Mpendulo. Hello, Mpendulo.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Hello? Mpendulo, are you there? Mpendulo is not there. Can you please move to Mr. Kobane Sibeko? Mr. Sibeko?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, thanks, Munir, and thanks very much with your presentation. It's so informative.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, yeah. My question is to check the ratio of a ram versus the ewes.
The ratio of a ram versus the ewes, your young ram, the ratio is going to be 1 ram into 25 ewes, and then your matured ram, that is about 4 teeth going up, is going to be one ram is to 35 ewes up until to 50 ewes. A matured ram, you can make it to 35 ewes going up until 50.
Okay, no, thanks very much.
Yes, and then your young you can give it 25 ewes.
Use. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Munir.
You are welcome, sir. Let's move to Ntetelelo. Hello, Ntetelelo.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm good, and you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for the session, sir. My question is, I want to understand about the ratio when we flush our goats, because we understand that there is a lactation period for goats. So it's where we do flushing for our goats. So we want to understand the protein, fiber, and the vitamin, the ratio, the good ratio for flushing our animals.
Okay. And Ntetelelo, that's a very, very tricky question that will require a nutritionist. When you want the ratio, that one I will have to go and ask my nutritionist about it, and then I will get back to you, Ntetelelo. I'm gonna take your email address and I'm gonna make sure that I contact you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure. Bonga, do you still want to ask that question of yours? Okay.
I don't know if you hear me, but I've written it on the chat box. I mean.
Oh, you sound clear now. You can go ahead with your question.
Okay, so my question was basically, so with normally with production advisors that you get from agents or technical advisors such as you always tell us to put our animals on 2 heat cycles, right? Which is 34 to 40 days.
Yes.
So now I wanted to find out what's the benefit of that besides the lamb informity, because it's the one thing that I've always heard, right? And then the reason why I'm asking this is because in communal areas, such as where I'm farming, you find that some guys are putting their rams for 2 months, So what are the disadvantages that we are not seeing, or maybe we are not told with regards to that? Maybe I was spending more, or what's happening. So I just wanted, a clarity on that, the benefits of that, of that 2 heat cycles, because some can even stretch it to like 3 or 4 or 5 heat cycles. Yeah.
I think that one is more of giving the use a chance. The ones that did not conceive on the first heat cycle, then you're giving them a second chance to get the ram when they are on heat again. More than anything else, you're just giving them a chance to be mated by the ram. Let's say now it gets on heat on the first cycle, and then it doesn't get serviced by the ram, and then on the second cycle it's solely going to be serviced. I think that's more the reason behind it. Bonga.
Okay. No, thank you very much. I think I have an idea. So there aren't maybe disadvantages besides giving them more chance.
Now it will take you to the fertility issue. If you're giving them more chances, it will mean that you're having a fertility problem. There's something that you're not getting right on your animals. Let's say maybe it will be maybe nutrition. Is it genetics, nutrition, or maybe like there will be something wrong. Once you start giving them so many chances, then you will know that you've got a fertility issue on your farm, because now you just have to give them 2 chances and then the ram is done. But then if more than 3 months or maybe 2 months the ram is still busy with the use, then you have a problem there.
Okay. Just one last point from my observation personally from what I saw, just to hear if also you've seen it as well from So with the guys that normally put them for 2 to 3 months, I've realized that after some time, the scrotum circumference of the rams usually go down.
Yes, because it's busy.
Like when I'll make an example there, you mate it and then you rest it and then you prepare to mate again. But however, the scrotum does not grow as it used to grow before.
That one I have never, but what I know is that during the mating season, the ram is surely going to lose condition, is going to lose the body condition, and then the scrotal circumference is going to decrease a little bit as well. But then when you rest it and then you give it enough food or a ration that have got all the nutritional requirements, then it's going to pick up the body again, and then the circumference is going to be fine as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bonga. You are welcome. Nkosibonile.
Hello, sir.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Thanks. I'm also greeting everyone who's on the line. Thanks about your sessions. It was very informative. I have few questions. Some of the questions that I had, they've already answered.
Okay.
One question, where can I get the lucerne seeds?
The lucerne seed.
Yes, that's one question. And secondly, is there any program that you can give it to us that we can follow? Because yes, we've received this session, which was, but is there any program that you can draft it for us that we can follow? Yeah, I think
yes.
My question.
Yes, there is a program that I can draft for you, Nkosibonile. You can email me, and then I'll give you my WhatsApp, and then you're gonna tell me where you are based, and then we'll try to draft a program according to your area. So you want a management program, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes, we there is a program that I can draft for you according to your own area. You're gonna tell me where you are based, and then we're gonna sit down and draft it together. And with I'm also sure that you are also familiar with the diseases that usually take place in your area, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That one is possible. So we can do it. You can email me, and then we'll take it from there. The question of where can you buy the lucerne seed? In these co-ops, where are you based? Where are you based in Nkosibonile?
Mzimkhulu.
You are in Mzimkhulu. TWK. There's TWK in Ikopo. There's TWK in Kokstad.
Yeah.
You must go and check there. Sorry.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure. Sure.
Okay. Thank you. So your email address?
My email address is kaya@rmis.co.za.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sure. Aubrey. Aubrey.
Hello, Baba. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And yourself, sir?
I'm also good, Kaya. Thanks for your session, sir.
You are welcome.
My question, Kaya, is just based on the inbreeding, sir. Let's say I got my head 20 or 30, doesn't matter. Then yes. I bought my ram somewhere else from Mr. A. Then I bought my Iwi from Mrs. C. Then they stay together with my ram. Then yes. Fortunately, I had the newborn from those I bought it outside of my head. Then they made, then I got the newborn, which is look good, promising ram. Can I use that ram that was born, only that two that I bought it outside of my head when I already had my head, to say this is my head, or that will be also regarded as the inbreeding?
The thing is, you don't want to breed with a ram that has been born on your kraal, because now it will be having it will be of the same bloodline as the mother. You don't want to have a ram that is going to mount the mother or the sisters.
But the mother on my crowd is only one. What if I'm just taking that mother? Then it can also service my other 50, except the sisters that will be born when servicing. But it can service. Okay, maybe I'm not clear enough, Kaya. If I'm about, okay, maybe let's say if I bought a Iwi that is pregnant, then
yes.
it's getting born on inside Makral, but I already got 50 Eves. That one I can use it to service my other head, or I can't at all.
You can use it if the ram came in pregnant and then it gave birth on the farm to a ram kid that has got a potential of being a ram, and then it grows so well, and then you see all the characteristics of being a ram on that particular kid. You can make it a ram if it came in pregnant, and then you make sure that it doesn't mate the mother. It only mates all the other animals that it's not related to.
Okay, Kaya. No, that's my question. But now, Kaya, like the rams, my other question, my rams are so expensive, say, for us that we are still a smaller scale farmers.
Okay.
But now, every time to change the ram in 2 years, 3 years, it's costly for our service. Then what other option maybe do we have? Because keep on changing the rams after 1 year or 2 years, because going to look for another one, it's not sustainable for us. Although I understand the consequences of the inbreeding, but what other option maybe something like better than going to, because it's costly and sometimes we don't have that kind of money. That's why sometimes we're using the rams to mount the children and the sisters.
Sir, there you will have to be very, very strategic now, meaning that you're gonna have to make sure that your ram doesn't run. Let's say maybe if you don't have camps, as I said before, that if you don't have camps whereby you're going to manage your rams, make sure that these ewes are going to give it this particular ram, and these ewes are going to give them this particular ram. Then you'll have to hold your rams, and then when your animals come back in the afternoon, you separate them there in the kraal, and then you maybe mate them at night, because that's what I do back home. I'm also a farmer, and I mate my animals only at night. During the day they go alone into the field, and when they come back, I mingle the ram with them. You see, so you'll have to be strategic there, and then make sure that this ram is only going to mate the mothers. When you're buying the second one is only going to mate the daughters of the first ram. You see, and then you keep it like that.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Guys, we have gone past the time limit. We have gone past the time limit. I think there are questions that we're not going to be able to answer. Thank you for joining the webinar. I appreciate you guys so much. I believe that we're going to see each other again when we on my second webinar. There will be more webinars coming through from the RMIS technical advisors. I thank you for coming through and listening to my webinar. I believe that you guys have learned a lot. Mampo Tseke, let me give you a chance, and then I close it from there.
Yeah, good evening, Kaya.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, mine is just to check if it's possible to send me the I don't know, how do I call it?
The presentation.
Yeah, in writing.
Yes, I'm gonna be able to send it to you, sir. All the people that have registered on the webinar, will send them through the presentation.
Okay, no, thanks. That's all.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Njabulo. Njabulo? Okay. There's someone on the chat box who said that I must share my contacts. Can you please send me an email, sir? At Kaya at rmis.co.za, small letters. I'll give you my contact numbers there and everything that you guys want to know. If there's someone who needs anything from me, can you please email me? And then I'll try to give you all the things that you guys want via email. Thank you very much. Bye, guys. Koskon.
Kulua
Hello.
Kulua.